Welcome to the Heartbeat for Hire podcast. I'm your host, Lyndsay Dowd. My goal is to help train leaders and sales organizations how to manage and deliver results with empathy, compassion, and kindness. Let's get started. Welcome to this episode of Heartbeat for Hire, and every podcast is only as good as its guests, and boy, do we have a good one today. We have Madeline Mann, who is gracing us with her presence, and let me give you a little background on Madeline. She is an HR and recruiting leader who spun her insider knowledge of the hiring process into an award-winning career coaching empire with millions of lives impacted called Made Millennial. Mann is known for finding the glory in your story. God, I love that. To enable any professional to land high-paying job offers for seemingly unattainable roles. Her coaching program, Standout Job Search, has led to thousands of success stories, and her clients have landed roles at companies such as Netflix, Google, Goldman Sachs, Deloitte, NBC, Amazon, and more. She's been featured on ABC, Bloomberg, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Forbes, and the list goes on and on. Welcome, Madeline. So happy you're here.
So good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. So for those people that haven't been exposed to you yet, could you give a little background on your story and kind of how you landed to be the Madeline you are today?
Absolutely. So I was leading the human resources department at a tech company, and I was the one who was reading so many of these resumes. I was in every single interview debrief with all these executives, and there were very specific patterns of what made people successful, both in landing promotions, in landing jobs, and then things that really shot people in the foot. And I thought, oh man, if only people could see what I see, they would make much different decisions in their career. And so I actually started responding to applications with feedback, which I thought I was going to be everyone's hero.
Yeah.
But it turns out
people don't like feedback.
Exactly. Unsolicited feedback is not people's favorite thing. So I thought, why don't I take to YouTube? Why don't I start putting this out there for anyone who wants the help? And over time, it was just something that I did on the side just for fun because I loved my career in HR. And it grew, and the success stories just absolutely exploded. And it was, I think, a little over a year ago, I left my role in human resources because the work that I was doing was just reaching so many more people. So it's been absolutely amazing. And I've built a team around me, and it's just been an incredible journey helping people build their careers.
So for those that don't know, can you tell people just how, you're number 2 behind Gary Vee on TikTok in terms of followers. Give us some more stats on, LinkedIn, you're a LinkedIn instructor?
Yes. I'm a LinkedIn learning instructor, and that's been fantastic. I have 4 courses on LinkedIn. And yeah, I have my YouTube play button back here. It's kind of blocked, but yes. And so I've been really loving YouTube as well. But the thing that I think about the most is I've been collecting success stories, like not just client success stories, but even people commenting on videos. And it's in the hundreds and hundreds of thousands at this point.
Can you share a couple?
Oh my gosh, sure. Yeah, one of them that I really love is one of my clients, Tina. She came to me and she said, I just want to work at Toyota. That was her number one thing. She said, that's all I want to do. And she said, but I got rejected because they said, I'm not from their industry, which is such a common situation so many of us face. And I said, no, Tina, we are going to get you that job at Toyota. And so after her getting rejected, I really worked with her. And this is something that I know you truly believe in, is like building different relationships, right? And like making sure that it's really focused on that aspect, and also building her skill set and building essentially her pitch of yes, why it's not actually a disadvantage that she's from a different industry, but actually an advantage. And I sent her back out into the world. She went back to Toyota. She landed another interview. And this time they told her, Tina, you are the perfect candidate for us, which she's the same human. 3 months later, she's the same human. But because we were able to completely, build these relationships and change the way they saw her, she ended up landing a $40,000 salary increase. She got a car. She got a sign-on bonus, and she's working there now, and she's absolutely loving it. So it's just kind of like that story shows the example of like, there's so much you can change in your situation to really show your value.
So you've done a phenomenal job with your branding, and I paid homage to that today by wearing my orange. So for those that don't know, Madeline uses tangerine and a lot of orange in her communication, which is awesome, by the way. And we'll get to that in a second. But I want to talk a little bit about how my observation of branding has been really interesting, because I have a long background in corporate America. I was 23 years at IBM, and there was no push to do that. And it wasn't until I went out on my own where I was like, oh, wow, I am not my job. I am so much more than that. And so I just would love your inside view of what you see as like the important takeaways for folks that want to make that pivot to a Toyota or a change in career direction. How does branding play into that?
Yes. Well, one of the things that I really preach is I don't really believe in job security. Even if you work at a big company like IBM, like you never are guaranteed job security. And I believe in career security, which is building that personal brand. That no matter where you go, your personal brand will always go with you. And so that's what we need to be building equity into in our careers. While we're in our 9 to 5 and our 5 to 9, we need to be thinking about how are we building our network? How are we and I think a lot of people think of a personal brand as something that you actively do, but a lot of us have a personal brand without trying, and it's not our best foot forward. If I Google you, that is your personal brand. So what is coming up? And so for a lot of us, in our top 3 results, one of them is LinkedIn. And so that is an amazing place to start, of saying, when I land on this LinkedIn profile, what is the reaction people are getting from me? What is the signals it's sending? And for a lot of us, it's not very helpful signals.
No.
But if you change that, then it's incredible. I just see so many of my clients landing so many interviews from companies they never applied to because they're attracting these opportunities versus having to chase them.
Oh, I totally agree. And having what is the lens that I want people to see me through, creating that, I think, is so, so important. I mean, there is no mistaking when you look at my profile, like I have something to do with heartbeats and something to do with people, and you get that general vibe. So, and then hopefully my content supports that, but it took me a while to figure it out. And, it wasn't really until I sat down and said, what do I love? What am I really good at? That I really figured out what it needed to say. And it's evolved too. And that's the other thing I think I've learned from you, at least in all the stuff I've watched on your courses, is you change. And just because you put out one thing doesn't mean that 2 weeks later you can't edit it. You can change it.
I love that. Exactly. I think so many of us are multi-passionates. We have lots of different things we're interested in. And I think a lot of us, but one of the things that will help you to land more opportunities is if you do stake a claim. If you do say, I am the person who will do this, not I'm the person who will do this and also this and maybe this. And I know this is kind of random, but I also do that. Like there's a season. Every season, reevaluate. If this season you want to focus on landing a new job, we'll probably be really focused on a certain job title. Then you land that job, and maybe the next season you're focused more on, you have a blog that is not even about your job. Maybe it's about something else. And that's what your personal branding is focused on. I love that you brought that up because you can change it depending on where you're at. Don't feel like when you choose something for like a quarter, that is where you're stuck at. It's just for whatever's serving you at that time.
Yeah, I think LinkedIn has changed so much. And I don't think it's just me waking up and seeing it. I really do feel like it's changed, because I think back even just a couple of years ago, it was just an overinflated resume for most people. And certainly anyone in the corporate landscape, it's where you went when you were having a bad day and you really weren't getting along with your boss, or like, I'm going to look for a job. And it was like, what's out there? And I'm just going to see what's there. And now it feels like a platform for expertise and an opportunity to connect with people on a scale that I had never experienced before. And, can you tell us a little bit about how you got into the LinkedIn instructor side of the house?
Yeah. So I have been posting every day on LinkedIn for maybe 4 years.
Wow.
It's not like I knocked on LinkedIn's door and said, hey, pay me to build these courses. They saw me. And I think one of the things is you don't have to do video in order to be successful on LinkedIn or any other platform, but it sure helps if you want to do courses and getting speaking engagements, that kind of stuff. So because my primary medium is video, they snatched me up and they said, there's proof here that you can talk to a camera. And you can script and you can do all that, like you're hired. So it really was from me showing up, and also contributing to other people. It's not just about me posting about my own things, but me caring about the rest of the community, supporting others, providing my own thoughts, that kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, the nature of what you do is supporting others. So you're off to a really good start, but I totally agree with you. You get what you give. And I've learned this myself, and I've watched my numbers kind of really shoot up over the last, I guess I started this in February. So I've really watched my numbers more than double from where I started. And it's just been consistently posting, but really offering a lot of support. And when you see something you like, don't just like it, comment on it, explain why you like it, or add something like, hey, and one more point is whatever, because it helps them, it helps their post, and their post gets stickier, but it also helps you get noticed, because all of a sudden a whole bunch of people that didn't know you are now seeing you're saying something incredibly intelligent.
Yes. And anyone who posts anything, they'll notice that you commented. Like they will see you. And it's a warm, fuzzy feeling. It's such a great way to build relationships.
It is. And the connections that have come out of it have been surprising and delightful, and clients and referrals. And, that for someone who's a solopreneur or an entrepreneur, that's your bread and butter. So you got to give it your all. So I love all that you give so many tips. And for anybody that hasn't seen or watched any of Madeline's courses, you should. It's really great info. And can you tell a little bit about the stuff that you offer? I know you have a wide range of services.
Totally. So I do have a course called LinkedIn for Thought Leaders, which is I do have a free preview of that on the front of my LinkedIn profile. It's called How to 10x Your Personal Brand. So that is a really great preview for anyone who's looking to really dip their toe into LinkedIn, or just dive in head first and just make it incredible. I also have a coaching program called Standout Job Search, which is really to not only supercharge, land your next role, but kind of set you on this career trajectory where you're attracting opportunities for the rest of your career. And then I have other ebooks and stuff like that on MadelineMann.com to help people with their interviews, their how to correspond with employers, with all the email templates they need, and a resume course as well.
And you offer a lot of free stuff, which is really amazing. And I'm just curious, how do you balance the free and the paid?
I never even really gave it enough thought. Well, so here's the thing is it's funny. Well, people might look at my free stuff and go, wow, this is so incredible. And then it's, I guess, the well of how impactful this stuff is. It goes so deep that I feel like the free stuff is the top 5%.
Icing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just the icing. And so then when people get into my programs, especially in my coaching program, Standout Job Search, where I really get to work with people, they go, oh, this is the life-changing stuff you're talking about. Oh, this isn't just how to write a resume. This is how to be irresistible to employers and get the highest possible salary. So I think there's something for everyone. And if you don't have the capital to invest in my paid stuff, you will love the free stuff. But it is the life-changing stuff does happen when I really get to work with people.
Well, and you'll learn, guys, if you engage with Madeline, she's so responsive with emails and follow up. And, I'm so glad you made it to this class. Here's some more insight. I mean, whoever is doing that on your side, bravo. It's really well done, and it's concise and friendly. And she finishes everything with a Wi-Fi high five. And that is like your signature. How did that come about?
I was doing an interview like this. And I just said to the person who was my guest, I said, Wi-Fi high five. And I smacked the camera. He smacked the camera. And I was like, okay, was that
cool,
weird, or was that fun? I don't know. And I just went with it. And then I think for a couple of videos, I stopped doing it, and people started to go, Madeline, you didn't do the Wi-Fi high five.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. All right. It's officially in the lore.
I love that. That's how my little hashtag is heartbeats, not head count came about. It was in a conversation, and I think I said it, and I was like, oh wait, that's gold. So but it helps describe what it is I do. So I love that you close with that. I love that you use it consistently. It's a signature for you, just like your orange and your tangerine. So it's great. All right. You are a highly energetic, tremendously awesome speaker. How do you keep up your energy?
So I am definitely a raging extrovert. I derive energy from chatting with people. And also, I think people are surprised when I say this, because I have been doing this for talking about this topic, this job search topic, career topic for 5 years. A lot of people in my niche get burned out because this topic is really, it attracts a lot of people who are in a tough place in their life.
Right.
It is emotional. There's a lot of things that come with it. It's not, you can't separate your work from your personal life. There's so much that comes with it, but something about it, I could talk about resumes all day. I could chat with you about interview approaches. I really love it. And so it's interesting when you find something that you actually, you're an expert in, and you love talking about it, how that mastery, how it lights you up. So I have not slowed down. I think the only thing that slows me down is just not being out in the world enough the past few years, right? And just meeting more people.
So you just segued to my next question, and I got an email from you saying, would you be interested in meeting face to face? So talk about that a little bit. Are you going on tour? What are you doing?
Right. Okay. So I was like, digital events are so much easier. You don't have to get a venue and all that. And I said, easy schmeezy. I don't care about easy. I want to fill up my pail. I want to light my fire. I want to meet these people who, because I actually went on a talk show a couple months ago in Dallas, and in the audience, in the studio audience was full of people who I guess had followed me on social media, and I had changed their lives, and they came up to me afterwards. And it was the most amazing experience, because all these wonderful people will send me emails and comments online. And I love it and I appreciate it, but it's completely different when you look someone in the eyes and you shake their hand and you know that you've touched their life in some way. And so I said, I need to do an in-person event. So I sent out that email saying, hey, would anyone come? And I got some amazing responses. So I think I'm going to do it. I think
come to Boston, bottle of wine on me.
Boston?
Boston.
Oh, Boston. Oh my God. I've never been to Boston.
Oh, well, you got to come. It's great.
Amazing.
I'll show you all the good spots. But yeah, I agree with you. And I had a funny saying in one of my jobs, and this was kind of during the pandemic when all we were doing was Zooming and all we were doing was this. And I said, it's much harder to be an asshole to someone after you've met them face to face. So there's something about the energy exchange. There's something about the magnetism. You feel it differently when you're in person. And I get that. But I really do understand the need for the battery recharge. And when you connect with someone and it's so effortless and it's so easy and you get off the conversation, you're like, wow, that felt great. And you just got fueled for hours. You're just off and going. So I get that. That's great.
That's my vibe for sure.
All right. So we know a lot about your work life. What do you do for fun?
So me and my husband have been taking quite a few dance classes. We have been doing some waltz, some swing. We also love to do, we've been visiting a lot of the national parks, you know, Yosemite, Joshua Tree, Yellowstone.
I was just in Yellowstone. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, I was there like 2 weeks ago. So
I was there in the beginning of July. So
oh wow, okay, yeah.
between
So
the floods and the fires.
yes, yes, I was right near the floods. So it's just been really wonderful to get out, to get active. That's mainly what we love to do.
Oh, I love that. I just speaking from experience, I found Yellowstone to be breathtaking and so huge. And there was so much we learned. And we just left having such an appreciation for Montana and Wyoming and that whole space. It was just stunning. So it was really, really beautiful. Talk about a battery recharge. It was really incredible.
It was Montana. I'd been to Montana before, but 15 years ago, and it was just such a gorgeous place.
That's how I felt. I loved it. Loved it. Loved it. I would go back in a heartbeat. I just thought it was beautiful. All right. So can you give a couple of tips, or what's your best tips for job seekers today?
Oh man. Okay. So I would say, one of the things that I think is really important to know is that one thing I found in today's environment is it's not about being the best person in your industry. I mean, if you are the best person in your industry, that's great. But I know too many professionals who are the best kept secret in their industry. It's about being found. And so, I want to say this because it kind of goes off what we were saying earlier, of really making sure that you are proactively putting yourself out there, both online, being found, but also building relationships that really databases don't get people jobs, people get people jobs. And I think there's this, I've been talking on TikTok quite a bit. And I said the other day, I said, there's a trend going around where depending on what profession you are, you give 5 tips of things you would never do. And one of the tips I said is that I would never apply to a job online. And one thing I realized, I read the comments this morning and I realized that people got stuck on the word online. They said, okay, if it's not online, then is it?
I hand in a piece of paper?
Right. And I was like, oh no, that wasn't the key word I said there. The word I said was apply. I would not apply.
Yes.
And that's the thing that I think too many of us, we just fall into this rhythm in the job search process where we think it's actually easier to just apply to a bunch of jobs, when really the fastest possible way is to really either be like found, sourced, or
referral, right?
Referral. Yeah. Yes. And so really making sure that you are doing what I call a low volume job search, where you're targeted, you're getting after these opportunities that are really interesting, and you're not blasting out dozens or God forbid hundreds of applications.
I tell that I watched so many people leave their jobs during the Great Resignation, which hasn't ended, by the way. And I watched these people leave their jobs, many with no job to go to. They were just so fed up with the crap culture they were suffering from. And I had to tell them, I'm like, listen, there's some horrible statistic out there that if you apply for 100 jobs on job boards, you might get 5 responses. You might, if you're really lucky. And if you do 10 referrals, you're going to get like 8 responses. It's so important that people understand that, because they waste so much energy and they get so defeated, and then they question themselves and they think, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough. And they're missing that. No, shout from the rooftops. You've got this expertise. You've got these skills. You just need to frame it in a way that somebody needs to see it.
That's exactly it. It's so, and exactly with the 8 responses for the referrals versus the 5 responses for the 100 applications, which do you think took less time? It was probably getting the referrals felt a little more uncomfortable because you were, you were looking for people, you were reaching out to people maybe you didn't know. It felt uncomfortable, but it probably took you, I don't know, maybe a fraction of the time to do that, and it was much more high yielding.
Well, and you're right. I mean, no jobs database, they're not all created equal, and sometimes it will accept your resume and populate it correctly, and sometimes you have to type everything in and it takes forever and it's a total time suck. So yeah, don't do the job boards. I agree. Okay, so that was tips for job seekers. Do you have any tips for entrepreneurs?
Sure. I would say I have definitely, I think one thing that a lot of entrepreneurs maybe misstep in is they'll take some of their expertise, they'll learn one social platform, right? Because I built my entire business on social media. They'll learn one social platform, and then they will use those same principles across other platforms. And I'm telling you right now, like, I have gotten coaches, I have taken courses on every single platform, and every single one is different, and it is worth it to crack the code. If you're going to commit to doing a social platform or even a podcast or anything like that, they're all different. And so really studying the platform, because your social media can completely explode your business, but don't like, I think that one of the things that most entrepreneurs get stuck in is they're like, I'm consistent, I'm going to post on this platform every single day, as if that is enough, and it's not enough.
No, it's not enough. And I just learned from my own experience, I do once a week, I do what I consider to be a slightly goofy reel on Instagram and on TikTok. They have consistently been getting thousands of views. Thousands. I'm not even saying anything, but people like them, and it drags all these new followers to my content, which I did not expect. Now, I couldn't put those doofy posts on LinkedIn and expect the same result, but it's just, to your point, you got to treat them a little bit differently, and that is it was a good lesson to learn. But I don't know. I said to my team, I'm like, if we put some of those things on LinkedIn, do you think we'll get the same response? They're like, just leave it where it is. I'm like, all right.
Calm down. I'm like,
but it got so much traction. So what's next for you? What do you view as the next chapter?
So I am writing a book, which is a pretty new thing. It's still kind of in its early days, but I'm really excited about it. I think it's definitely, it's about time. And then I would also say this in-person event, that it's going to happen in 2023. So anyone who's listening and is like, all right, like, book my tickets. It will be in the new year. But I'm really excited about that, because I think that is when I was thinking about what do I actually care about, right? It's not necessarily like, at this moment, it's not necessarily about making really smart business decisions. It's about what is going to make me really excited and keep delivering to my audience. And sometimes when you need to do that, you need to think about, okay, what's just fun? And so that is, I'll keep everyone up to date on when that event is going to happen. It's going to be an in-person workshop. It'll be like a 2-day, like intense, amazing thing. But that is something that I'm so excited about.
Well, count me in. I would love to host you in Boston. So if you're coming this way, I want to be there. Okay, one question. What do you want your legacy to be?
I found an amazing career that lit me up and made me excited about Mondays. And I want everyone to have that same experience. I want to be a part of people saying, wow, okay, like it's work can be enjoyable. I don't think work needs to be not work. I don't believe in that. I still think work is work and work is hard, but I do think everyone can have a job that makes them have that energy at the end of the day, to where they're not deflated, but they're actually elated and their family and friends see them really happy. So that's my hope and my dream.
I love that. Well, I think you're already doing that. So job well done. But I will ask you too. I mean, to me, this is what I focus my life on, is creating this good culture where you can have this connection and collaboration. And that's pretty much what you're doing. You're just teaching people how to get into those environments. And culture plays such a huge role in our happiness. And I just feel like anyone that is contributing in a positive way to the masses to better our lives. And like you said, we are in our jobs more than 50%, in some cases 70% of our lives. If you're feeling that joy, if you're feeling that passion, it feels less like work. It doesn't mean it's not work. It lights you up. You're more excited to do it. You're more excited to give back and continue to connect and help others and collaborate. And it's just contagious. So I love that. And like I said, I really think you're already doing it. So congratulations on already delivering for millions of people. That is a huge accomplishment.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome. So Madeline, I mean, I know how to find you, and based on this call, everyone should know how to find you by now, but give me the details. How do people find you?
Absolutely. So at my website, madelinemann.com, you'll see a lot of free classes and resources there. Also follow me. Go find Madeline Mann on LinkedIn, and then it's Self-Made Millennial on YouTube and TikTok.
Awesome. Well, guys, if you aren't already following Madeline, you should. She is a delight. She is so much fun and has so much good tips and tricks. I just so enjoy listening to her. So Madeline, thank you so much for being a wonderful guest. And I will see you when you come to Boston. Thanks for listening to Heartbeat for Hire. If you like what you hear, I'd love it if you'd subscribe and leave a 5-star review. To keep the conversation going, you can find me on Insta or at LinkedIn at Lyndsay Dowd, H4H, or you can reach me at my website, heartbeatforhire.com. Thanks so much. Have a great day.